Good morning, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with the Hurricane Outlook and discussion for October 9th, 2020, recorded around 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Our main focus today is going to be spent mainly on Hurricane Delta, which is quickly approaching the Louisiana and Texas coastlines this morning. You can see here from the visible satellite imagery just how large this system actually is. And we saw this coming several days ago where after crossing the Yucatan, it had the potential to grow exponentially in size down here across the Gulf of Mexico. Now that it has traversed that region and now is beginning to enter its final phase before landfall on the final approach, basically, we can see that the storm size is relatively massive this morning with serious outflow extending all the way into Tennessee and Kentucky this morning, with the deep convective plume all the way into portions of north central Louisiana, into portions of far eastern Texas, and then all the way into even portions of Alabama as kind of this remnant kind of area down through here. So this is producing a very large area of showers and thunderstorms, whether it's directly or indirectly associated with the storm. But again, this is a very large system, and for that reason, that is why we're expecting very significant impacts even to the right of where this makes landfall. Now, if we take a closer zoomed in look here at the visible satellite imagery, again, it just puts into perspective how massive the storm really is. Again, you can see where the eye wall structure is right here. That's the eye wall, and your eye is somewhere right in through here again, but you can't see it because it's clouded over at the moment. Now, it is still a major hurricane. Maximum sustained winds are still near about 115 miles per hour as of the 11 o'clock advisory. And you can very clearly see that what we have right now is this is kind of making a beeline for the Louisiana-Texas border. It's going to come in somewhere probably in through this region, kind of in something like that. So we're going to have a path more so like that. And again, this is going to create a large expansive area of thunderstorms. We can see here on the Houston radar site that this is the eye wall structure. This is the eye and inner core right here associated with Hurricane Delta, now rapidly approaching this area in through here. And again, it is right now a little bit to the left of the track, but this will be making landfalls within the next couple of hours, probably within the next about 6 to 12 hours. This will be making landfall, if not maybe a little bit sooner. And again, right now, this large inner core is making it hard to dissipate the storm. Larger eyes are typically associated with more stable storms, and that means that you don't get a fast weakening trend as you would with something like a smaller core like we had with Delta a couple of days ago, back when it was near the Yucatan Peninsula and in the Caribbean. We don't have that here, so this is going to cause the storm to, in fact, kind of not weaken as much as it kind of moves off generally towards the north. And that's going to be very important because as this does come up, that storm surge on the right front quadrant is going to begin to pile in really across this area. It's going to pile in that storm surge in the right front quadrant, and that is going to be very serious because that storm surge is what is going to be the most deadly, along with that rainfall flooding, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But again, this is the track forecast from the Hurricane Center. Again, we've got hurricane warnings that remain in effect for most of Louisiana, most of east central Louisiana or west central Louisiana, and far eastern Texas. Tropical storm warnings south of Houston, tropical storm warnings to near Lake Pontchartrain and south of New Orleans. So again, this is coming within that right front quadrant is going to be your higher surge, heavy rain, tornado threat in across this region. And even once this moves inland, this will be a tropical storm by tonight and tomorrow, and still be bringing impacts to the Mississippi and then eventually Alabama vicinity. So this is not done once it moves inland. The threat will remain for the next several days as this moves eventually towards the north and east. So it is on its final approach and is set to bring significant impacts starting really as of now. They can really see that storm surge value. Again, we're really expecting anywhere from the Holly Beach, Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge, the Vermilion Bay, Morgan City, Lake Bourne region, you're going to see your highest amounts of storm surge, especially for Holly Beach through Vermilion Bay and Morgan City. You're going to experience the worst of the storm surge. Upwards of 11 feet expected for portions of Vermilion Bay. So this is going to bring a catastrophic storm surge into that region that's already been devastated by Hurricane Laura only a couple of months ago. You're going to get that freshwater rainfall flooding well inland from where this makes landfall. And again, the reason why is because you look at how expansive this is. This is a big area of rain and deep, showers and thunderstorms. So as this moves northward, during the day today, and then, kind of makes a bend, something like that, you're now going to start to see all of this heavy rain be transposed over this large area. And at the time of landfall, what you're going to note here, and you're seeing it now, is that most of the convection right now is actually focused on the north side here. So this is actually focusing most of the convection off on towards the north side, and that's very important because this is going to have implications as this moves further northward. And again, that's going to be kind of the track there. So all of this heavy rainfall going over Lake Charles, going over Cameron, Louisiana, Vermilion Bay, Sabine Pass, those areas that you just saw Hurricane Laura make landfall and devastate some of those areas, a couple of months back. Well, here you go again. You're going to see the same, outcome basically with Hurricane Delta now. And this will make the 10th landfall of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. So, say what you want, but, this has certainly been a devastating season, and Louisiana is repeating a 2004 Florida equivalent where everything hit Florida. It seems like everything wants to hit Louisiana this year. So this is not a good situation. Now, the backside will luckily be a lot drier, and we saw this with Hurricane Sally. We even saw this with Hurricane Laura to an extent, although that eye wall did tighten up, near the landfall point because of land friction. And I did get a question about land friction yesterday. Land friction, basically, all it does, and the reason why it expands the core, is because your latent heat release is lost over land. And as soon as that inner core starts to dissipate, your energy gets spread out over a larger area because it can't focus across one centralized area. So what we saw once this crossed the Yucatan Peninsula is that inner core got disrupted and basically, almost dissipated. So the storm actually weakened quite substantially from 120 miles per hour all the way down to, a Category 1 storm. And, so it was, a Category 4 all the way down to a Category 1. And that inner core structure became very disrupted. So you had a very small 4-mile wide eye structure, and eventually that got disrupted. So your little eye there and the little kind of red area, and then the inner core got disrupted as it traversed land. So what you're left with is a much larger area of focalized, of centralized convection. And as that moves back over water, that tightens up once again. But it can't tighten up into a small inner core like that again because basically the way you're getting with, surface flux response and everything else like that, you can't get a storm to concentrate a 4-mile wide eye again. That is a really small eye, and it takes a really small storm to be able to do that. These very small storms that can ramp up quickly. So that's why we have the inner core structure change the way it is with land friction. But it can also help to tighten up eyes as they move along the coastline. And what we might see here with Hurricane Delta later today is that this actually might help to tighten the southern side of this eye wall. Now, there's a lot of shear coming out of the southwesterly direction. I mean, take a look at that here on the H-Wharf model. This is the 200 millibar winds. And we can see what's happening here is this trough of low pressure is digging down right now across the southwest United States. And this is causing a jet streak max right here. And we're also seeing fairly potent in that exit region. We're also seeing winds come out of the southwesterly direction here. And this is helping to cause that southwesterly shear that is starting to impinge on our storm. And as this moves forth with time, much of the same thing happens, where this just gets caught up in the shear into weekends, and landfall would probably be sometime late tonight, or sometime late this afternoon or tonight. So this is going to be a dangerous situation upon landfall. Everyone needs to take it seriously. Again, this is going to bring heavy rainfall, storm surge, etc. to those regions. And just because it's going to make landfall, it is still going to remain a threat over the next couple of days. So don't be caught off guard as this does move eventually inland over the next several days. I don't want anyone to be caught off guard by that for certain. So again, this will remain an impactful event over the next few days. Again, right now, the main concern is the storm surge and freshwater rainfall flooding from the storm, but also that heavy wind threat, that damaging wind threat as it moves near the coastline later today and tonight will bring an increased risk for significant damaging winds upwards of 100 plus miles per hour in this general corridor. So it's keep in mind that wind threat is going to be there, that storm surge threat is going to be there, and everything else is going to be on a pretty significant level tonight, and going through this afternoon tonight and early tomorrow. Conditions will start to improve then after tomorrow as it starts to rapidly move and weaken towards the northeast. All right. Well, that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Michael Romali. I will probably not have a video discussion out tomorrow. We're going to be getting a couple of things ready. I have a couple of things planned for next week. And, if you are over on the Patreon, I will talk about that later this afternoon. So if you guys do want to go support that, you can go look in the link down in the description below for that. And also, you can check out my Twitter at MikeRomali1, and I will have my Patreon on there. All right, with that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Stay safe down there in those impacted areas. Of course, I am Mike Romali. I'll talk to you guys again some more later.